The Libido Doctor is in.
Hello and welcome. This is Dr. Suzanne, and today I would like to talk about the 3 seats of a woman in her home. Okay, and those seats are in order from 1 to 3. So pay attention, please. The first seat is the seat the man gives you. Is the seat of the wife. Okay, because he sees you and he determines that you are a suitable helper and he wants to give you that position of honor. So you become the wife. Now, I have to make a small disclaimer. Sometimes you have men who have the need to have multiple wives. And I'm talking about that from experience. My father had my mother and us as children, but he also had another woman who was not his wife because he did not marry her officially, but we all knew her. We knew she existed. He had 2 children with her, 2 boys, and I can safely say that his best legacy came from those 2 boys in terms of how they achieved, not just them, but also their children as compared to my own siblings, my own brothers from my mother. And that takes me back to the story of David with Bathsheba. Even though David already had 2 wives, the first one and Abigail, and he had boys with them, it is Bathsheba who gave him the legacy seat in Solomon. In fact, the son of the first woman, who was supposed to be the expected heir, right? Because if you look at the first son, he was that one. But he was so crazy that he raped his half-sister. Who does that? Okay? And then the son Abigail had was a very quiet, very shy boy. I mean, he could not have managed the throne like his father. We also know that David had other sons, especially Absalom. Absalom, who slept with his father's concubines and wanted to kill him. So sometimes the legacy seed of a man could be hidden in the womb of a different woman, but he is the only one who knows, right? Because men they do what they want. I'm telling you the real truth. They do what they want. You can never control a man, box him in, change him. You cannot. What I'm trying to tell you is that first seat has to be a seat where the man claims you, because that gives you peace to produce for him, to be there for him and focus on him alone. Whether you are the wife with the marital contract or the concubine who is recognized, have babies for him that he takes care of you, just whatever, because it's something I saw growing up. I want to add a small parenthesis on the wife's seat. Sometimes a man gives you the seat of the wife, and the way he treats you could be either with love or without love. That is another story altogether. But a man who does not treat you with love will not reap the full benefits of having you as a wife. Second seat is in the bedroom. You are the queen in that environment. You are the queen. The bed is your throne. And I hope you know the bed is an altar. Okay? So, as this wife, you have to make sure that whatever happens in the bedroom satisfies the needs of your husband and also your needs. So it means you're going to have to communicate, you're going to have to tell him what you like, what you want, and you have to be willing to do what he likes to feel fulfilled, right? Because after he's done with you, in his mind, he has to think, oh my gosh, I have never tasted that kind. He has to be like, Lord, when are we doing this again? He should not want to look to the left or to the right. You have to be the queen. You have to do everything you need to do to satisfy your husband. And every man is different. Okay, so you have to learn him, you have to study him, you have to take your time, and you have to be willing to do a lot. Okay, anyway, from that seat in the bedroom, you have the legacy from the children that you are going to carry from this place you're having on the bed. Okay, the babies you are going to carry. But not just that, the bedroom is also your place of intimacy, your place of, where you share the secrets, where you murmur in the ear, where you take the opportunity to use your wisdom, your counsel, and you tell, oh baby, you know what, pay attention to this, honey, remember this guy, what he did, I don't feel him. Women are very intuitive, so you can take that opportunity to suggest, because you don't tell men what to do, you can only suggest, and if they don't want to do it, that's okay. But you also have to know, if your husband doesn't listen to you, there's a problem. There's a problem. Why is it with you? You're supposed to be the helper, right? So your place in the bedroom gives you the opportunity to be the counselor, gives you the opportunity to use your wisdom, gives you the opportunity to take his projects, plant them in your womb, take them to your altar, inquire of God, and bring him the fruits. Okay? Your place in the bedroom allows you to know his deep desires and give him ideas, give him insights, brainstorm, come up with, branch out opportunities. This is your position. This is your seat. And actually, as a woman, as a wife, as one who is made for this man, God will begin to drop ideas in your womb for him, because you already have those seeds. Remember, we are born with all our seeds. So if he is your destined husband, you will already have seeds for him. So those ideas will come. Just as you look at him, you just get those ideas. And that's in the bedroom that you begin to tell him, hey baby, let's do this. Why don't you think about that? Why? And whatever idea you bring forth, God has already anointed you to bring it to fruition. You already have the capacity and the might to help him do whatever you have generated from your womb. Okay? The third seat is in the kitchen. The seat in the kitchen gives you the opportunity to work on the health and the wealth of the family. How on the health? The way you cook, the way you pick the produce, the way you do your grocery shopping, the way you pray on this food, the way you use your hands. Even the Bible says that God makes our hands to war and our fingers to fight. So by these hands that you are using to cook, you already starting the fight of your family's health. You anoint this food, you bless this food, you sanctify it, so that when they eat it, when your family eats it, it brings health, joy, and success to their cells. Okay. Absolutely, And then wealth, you are the manager. You get this amount of money for cooking and managing the house. You have to decide, what do I purchase? How do I purchase? Where do I go do my grocery shopping? How do I conserve the food? What do I need to do A, B, C, and D? How do I cook? What amounts? What do I do with leftovers? How do I package the children's meals or their snacks? This management will allow you to save money, to take the leftover from the grocery shopping and put it aside. And what can you do with that money? You can have the kids in extracurricular activity. You're not going to go ask your husband for money all the time. Now, this is for a woman who doesn't work, but a lot of women also work and bring some money home so that, you balance the expenses in the house. But the man is the main provider. Always remember that. Anyway, also in that kitchen position, you spend a lot of time with the children. So as the mother, you have the opportunity to teach them, to place in them a lot of the things you already carry. So for example, if you carry wisdom, if you have the gift of music, you're always singing, if you have the gift of math, if whatever you carry is going to be reflected in the children. The type of extracurricular activities you enroll them in is based on what you like, what you value, what you can afford. So as the mother in that particular seat, you influence the legacy of your husband through the children. You influence how your children do in life, the way you talk to them, because you're going to spend most of the time with them. You drop them off at school, you pick them up, unless you have a driver. Us growing up, yes, we had a driver, but my mom still had time with us after school. When we were taking a snack, she would sit there with us and ask, how was school, this and that. She was there. You understand? So if you don't have a driver, if you just doing everything by yourself, it's even better, because on the way to school, you talk to them. When you pick them up, you talk to them. When you take them around for extracurricular activities, you talk to them. It's very, very important. Okay? So these are the 3 seats of a woman. When you are not the wife and you just the girlfriend, you have to know that you're just passing by this man's life and you just using mainly your physical attributes. But you cannot be broken down in just physical attributes, okay? You are the full package. You carry your wisdom, you carry your intellectual knowledge, you carry understanding, you carry strategies, you carry experiences, you carry this nurturing, this love. When women love with all their fibers, they are tender, they are gentle, they are kind, they are loving, you bring all that to the table. So you cannot just be the one who is using the bedroom. That's not your position. To be in the bedroom, you already have to have the seat of the wife or the concubine that is claimed. Remember that in the Bible, when you have intercourse with your husband, that's when you become the wife. Okay, so when you are the girlfriend and you're having intercourse every day, what are you doing? What are you actually doing? Who are you? What is the understanding of this relationship? Why are you doing that? You're leaking your blessings, leaking your energy, leaking your love, leaking. No, and you don't recognize. Why would you do that? Even if he gives you money, okay, like after he sees you, he gives you money. If it's not in billions, it's not worth it all. Because what you carry is billions. What you carry is precious stones. What you carry is extravagant generational wealth. Why would you just leak it on a girlfriend or lover's bed? You're not supposed to do that. Okay? So this is just a parenthesis for women who are not married yet. But as a married woman, your first seat is the wife, second in the bedroom, third in the kitchen. All right? Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.